Morning and welcome to another video on fretboard analysis, fretboard diagram stuff. The topic for today's presentation is going to be on perfect fifths, and um, when we combine perfect fifths with other perfect fifths, what chords they yield. And it's kind of interesting, or at least I think it's interesting when we look at it with breaking down the chord um, into fifths. So I'm not going to diagram the entire fretboard here, but I've started with C and G, which is a perfect fifth. And when we look at moving the C, I like to build these while we're talking about them here, so that as you do them in your own practice, you start to see like some of these shapes. I do, if you're unsure of the octave shapes, I did another video called, diagramming the fretboard with octave shapes, or if you look up octave shapes, then you'll see that where it talks about how to find the octave for each one. Uh, but basically, once we have our C, our fifth, G is our fifth, then we can also create that pattern as well. C, G would be here because it's a B string rule, and then we would also have C right here. That's another. This is a C plus an or a fifth plus an octave right here. And we've got our G right here. Remember that a perfect fifth inverse is a fourth, so G to C would be a fourth. So we'll just stick around in this region right here for now. And so, like I said, if we combine the fifth with another fifth, so C to G is a fifth. That's the one we wrote. G to D is a fifth, and so we already have our G written, so we can take our D, and the D is a whole step in front of C. It's also the open string right here. It's a fourth. Our D to G is a fourth, or G to D is a perfect fifth, said here. So when we do this, and then we have our C, D, and G, this yields a type of chord that we call suspended. Now, if we're in, if we call C the root, this would be what would be called a suspended 2 chord. More commonly, it is used as a suspended 4. So G would be the root, C would be the 4, and D would be the 5. And a suspended chord basically means we're going to eliminate the third. If we're in G, it would be B, and bring it up to the fourth. And so it leaves this kind of suspended feeling of the chord not being fully resolved. But in any case, we have a combination of fifths that produces another commonly used chord, and we call it suspended. So when we do our when we're playing, when we see a suspended chord, understand that there are 2 fifths involved with that, 2 different perfect fifths, and that's a good way to like break down, especially if you're playing in parts and you're not playing the whole chord, or if you're soloing to it. It's nice to know what your interval options are there. So the next fifth, I'm putting everything in relation to C. In my next fifth, I don't know why that's sitting there, but it's sitting there, is the D and the A. So now we have to get rid of so we have a suspended chord that is built off of C and its and another fifth. So there are, besides C, there are 11 other perfect fifths. So not all of them are going to form comfortable, chords, but we're going to look at what it does when we do all of them, all of the other ones from C. So let's eliminate the G's, since we have now we have the C and the D here, and so there's the D. We don't need that. So let's add these A's. Open A. Oops, I don't know why. Why did I delete the G's? Now we have C, CG. That was my mistake. So we still need the G's because we're adding fifths. Sorry about that. And now we're going to add A. Eliminate this and put an A right there. Okay, so now we have a total of 4 notes. We have C, A, D, and G. So taking a look at this, how can we break that down into a chord? Well, we have, you know, if we have C and G, D is the 2, and A is the 6. Usually, if we're dealing with 2s and 6s, we look at it from the root of another note. So D becomes the root. And of course here we still have the G, C, D, G suspended, and sometimes there's G, there's sus 2 and 4, and that's what this would be. It would be G, sus, G and D is the 5th, suspended 2 is A, suspended 4. But again, a lot of times we look to you know, a root that would spread out the notes a little bit more. So if D becomes the root, we have its 5th, A, and then the suspended 4, and C becomes its 7th. So oftentimes you'll see sus 4, 7, 7 chords, suspended 4, 7. So D, or D7 in this case, D7 sus 4 would be the chord. So D suspended, D, G, and A, and then C is its dominant 7th, or a minor 7th from D, and that's a commonly used chord as well. So that's what happens when we mix C, G, the 5th, with D and A. Now we're gonna mix C and G with the next 5th, which is A and E. This is where I've already got my A. We just need to eliminate the D in favor of the E. So we'll bring the E in, E, there's an E right here, and then there's an open E right here. So now we've got a chord that's C, G, E, and A. Well, let's look what happens when we move them around a little bit here. A, C, E, G, all thirds. This would be an A minor 7th chord, a very commonly used chord, A, C, E, G, and we see an A minor 7, an A minor 7 is a minor chord with a minor 7th on top of it. So that makes, I'm going to just, so when we finish this off here, this was C, G, sorry to backtrack here, and then G and D. This here was the C and the G, and then the D and the A, and now we have yet again the C and the G and the A, and the E, forming these chords right here. So yeah, the A minor seventh is a very commonly used chord. If you notice, in a major key, there's three of them that happens three different times. So each time we're dealing with, two different fifths that are involved. So let's keep moving on here. We have the next fifths would be E and B. So if we combine the E and the B with the C and the G, we have each time we have one note already up there. I'm going to have to get rid of the A's in favor of the B's. So let's go ahead and add B. We'll go ahead and add B as a half step behind C. It's open string as well. Right here. So now, if you recognize this chord right here, normally you'll see a chord that is played like this. Be a C major seventh. So we arrange the notes C, E, G, B. The combination of the fifth that's built on the 1 and the fifth that's built on the 3 forms a major seventh chord. So let's put these all back here. And add this to our list of chords that can be constructed. C major seventh by combining fifths. So what is the next fifth? We have B and F sharp. So when we have B and F sharp mixed with C and G, we have our B's, so we have to eliminate our E's, and then add the F sharp. So in this case here, we have C, G, B. F sharp is a sharp 4. So we could call this a major 7 with the sharp 4. A lot of times, if the 4 is sharped, we call it an 11th, and this would be like a major major 7th, because B is a major 7th with an 11th chord. As you can see, there's a lot of jumbled notes here. Oh, we didn't get rid of this D. Oops. So we can see, like I said, there's a lot of jumbled notes up in here with this, because we've got two half steps. We have the F sharp to the G and the B to the C. So if we're going to make this, if we're going to space this out, there is a way to space it out. You can see we have a fifth here separated by a major third, and then a fifth. With the right type of voicing, you can make that happen. So the only problem here is there's no major third. A lot of times the major third off of the C, the proper voicing would be to include the major third and rather than the fifth, so that that it's a major or minor chord. But for the sake of this, we will take this this pattern right here and call this a C major 7 with a sharp 11. Okay, let's keep rolling on here. If we do the F sharp and the C sharp, we're going to end up with chords that are spaced a half step apart, and I'm going to eliminate that for this video. Similar with the C sharp and the G sharp. In future videos, I might take a look at that, but we're going to move straight to the A flat and the E flat fifth to combine it with C. So the first thing I'm going to do is eliminate all my B's and F sharps here. And leave us with just the C's and the G's. So we've moved on past two of the fifths to the A flat and then the E flat, and then we have still our C and our G. Well, what chord would this be? Well, we've got A flat, C, E flat, we know that's our fifth, and a G. So we've moved it into all thirds. This would be an A flat major seventh. So if we add our A flat, our A flat right here, A flat here, and A flat right here, and then we've got E flat, E flat, E flat. You can see the major seventh pattern. There's one right here. If you don't know your major seventh patterns, you may not recognize this readily, but the major seventh pattern is, oh, we're missing a note right here. There we go. So we've got the E flat right here. This is commonly played as a D major seventh. Those three notes right there, the G major seventh, this is just A flat, come up one right there. But in any case, we have the notes of the A flat major seventh when we combine those fifths. The next fifth would be the E flat and the B flat. So when we have C, G, E flat, and B flat, if we take these C, E flat, G, and B flat, we end up with a minor seventh yet again. So that's the second minor seventh, but this one is based off of C. For the sake of timing, I'm not going to do the rest of these here. I'm going to delete just leave the C up there. So when we mix the root with the flatted third based off the E flat, we get another minor seventh chord here. And then if we get the B flat, and so the next fifth would be B flat and F, and then we've got one more after that, F and C, B flat and F, perfect fifths. So how could we can arrange this right here? We've got C, F, and G, which is C suspended with a minor seventh, and we did that one once before. We called it D7 sus4. Now we have a C7 sus4. And then finally, F to C, which is simply, F to C is F and C are the fifth. So now we're just on a suspended. So C So 7 sus4, it would just be C sus4, and the 3 notes would be C, F, and G. Back to C, it's fifth right here. So you can see we got a lot of suspended chords, sus4, 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 a couple of minor sevenths, a couple of major sevenths, and then this major 7, sharp 11. The other chords, the ones that I skipped, would involve tritones, and usually I save tritones, for, even though they're two different fifths, because they're separated by a tritone, they form tritones in there. So naming them is a little bit more difficult and convoluted. I intend to get to more of those types of things when we talk about them individually with voicings. But when you can see that when we combine, in almost every case we combine perfect fifths, we end up with well-known or semi-well-known chords. If you're not familiar with a lot of these chords, take some time to get to know them, and we will, I'll do some other video breakdowns on that. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. That's all for now. We will see you at the next video. Leave me some comments. Thank you so much.